my name's Jennifer Wainwright. I'm a CFLE for McNeese State University, and today I'm doing a workshop on SIDS. Thank you for your participation, and we can get started. The goal of this workshop is to educate you on ways to prevent and promote safe sleeping habits for infants, whether it be your own or babies that you babysit at home, daycare facilities, hospitals, or any other settings. I've handed out fact sheets for you that we're going to later talk about, facts on SIDS and whether or not people believe them or if they're true or false. And I wanted to start off the workshop with a quote from a mother who lost her 12-week-old baby to SIDS. I felt it was important to include this quote because it makes you aware that SIDS does happen, and it can happen every day in any setting at any time. This was a mother of a baby named Elizabeth, and she quoted, "I never in a million years would have thought that I was going to have to bury my child. It's something you think only happens to other people, never to you. Well, it happened. I don't know if throughout all this time I was just in shock or if I had God wrapping his arms around me, but I made it through this day without medicine, without a breakdown, and unfortunately without my baby." The objectives of this workshop are to exhibit the willingness to work as a team. You're going to get in groups later and try and figure out ways to promote better sleeping habits for infants. And you're going to collaborate with each other and other audience members to create safe sleeping techniques. Learn safe sleeping techniques through games and activities. We're going to have a game where you can practice putting a baby to sleep, and you'll have different props to use and can try and figure out which one is the safest way. And also to be aware and use available resources that educate on SIDS. So if you were to do a workshop, if you're a nurse, a doctor, and you need to educate patients or individuals on SIDS, this workshop would really help you. We need to discuss exactly what SIDS is and how experts define it. The National Institute of Child Health and Human Development defines SIDS as the sudden death of an infant under 1 year of age where it remains unexplained after a thorough case investigation, like an autopsy is done and there's no other cause of death, examination of the death scene, and review of clinical history. Statistics say, according to SIDS, claims the lives of at least 5,000 babies a year. That's a lot. And after the Back to Sleep campaign that was launched in 2003, the SIDS rate declined a total of 53%. So it actually helped to have a campaign like that to educate parents and individuals on ways to prevent SIDS. The American Academy of Pediatrics, Child Health and Human Development, all these places provide facts and statistics on sudden infant death syndrome. SIDS is the leading cause of death in infants from 0 to 12 months of age. When they start rolling over, it's not as big of a deal, but when they can't roll over yet, it's better to lay them on their back than on their stomachs. Babies are at least risk for SIDS when placed supine, which is on their back when sleeping. And SIDS is not caused by suffocation, choking, or smothering. A lot of people think that SIDS is suffocation, but it is not. To reduce the risk of SIDS, we have put together some facts where you can put infants to sleep on the supine position. Avoid co-sleeping. I know a lot of parents want to have their babies in the bed with them to keep them close, and they think they sleep better, but the best way is to put them in their own crib, and it can be on the side of your bed, in a different room, just not in the bed with you. Refrain from using soft padding, pillows, blankets, toys, etc. in the cribs. The less stuff you have in there, the better. Do not smoke around your baby or in the room where the baby sleeps. This is one of the biggest risks that can cause SIDS, is smoking. Use portable hearing monitors. There's several devices they have now where you can clip to the baby's clothes that monitors their breathing. If they stop breathing, it alerts you, or you can just have monitors that sit next to the crib that you can hear the baby breathing, see the baby breathing. Those are all good ways to keep close contact with your baby. A lot of people believe many things about SIDS, why it happens, why you're not supposed to lay them on their back. But let's talk about why people don't want to put their babies on their back. The most common belief is choking. They think their baby's going to choke if they put them on their stomach. If they were to vomit or spit up, they think their baby will choke. Babies sleep better on their stomachs. This is a wise tale that's carried on through generations of families. Babies will develop a flat head if they're constantly on their back. Babies will lose their hair on the back of their heads, because if you constantly have friction on a baby's head right here, sometimes they can lose their hair. Another thing is safe sleeping habits. Do not overdress your baby in the bed. The less clothing you have, it's always good to dress them, in the onesies that are long sleeve. That way you don't have blankets in there and they're not going to get cold. Never cover the baby's head with a blanket. Keep the room at appropriate room temperature. Offer a pacifier if the baby will take one. And only one baby per crib, and no bed sharing, which would be co-sleeping. Okay, some of you have some fact sheets with you, and I'm going to get you, Christy, to read yours, and you can tell me if you think that these facts are true, false, if you've never heard them before, if you have heard them. What do you think about them?
SIDS is not contagious.
All right, what do you think about that?
True.
True? Mm-hmm. Some people think that SIDS is contagious. Pretty crazy. Okay, your next one.
SIDS is not caused by child abuse or neglect. At some point you think it might be false, just because neglect, some people think if you left your baby in the bed, maybe that, I don't know.
Okay. Your next one.
SIDS is not caused by baby shots. I guess it could be true. I've never really heard of that. So.
Yeah, a lot of people think that some vaccines can cause SIDS, but SIDS is actually, there is no exact thing that causes it. Experts only have risk factors to give people to try and avoid SIDS, but they basically don't really have a reason for it. Just when there's an autopsy done and there's nothing to determine a cause of death, it's labeled SIDS. And these are the risk factors that could probably cause it. Amelia, I gave you some fact sheets. You can read them and tell me what you think, if you think that people actually believe that, or if they're true, false.
One of my facts say that there is no cure or cause for SIDS, and I think this is true.
Yeah, there's no cure. There's only ways to prevent it, and like I said, there's no actual cause. The next one.
SIDS occurs in families of all races and socioeconomic levels. I think this is true also.
Okay. And your next one you have? Oh, I thought I gave you more than one. Okay. Here are some examples of safe sleeping. Like I said, it's good to put a baby in a crib with no blankets. As you can see in this one, there's no blankets, pillows, pacifiers, toys, and the baby is dressed in a onesie that covers his whole body if he was to get cold. And this picture right here shows the parent sleeping in their bed, and then the crib is on the side of the bed, where the parents can still see the baby if there's a problem, and the baby's not in the bed with them. The next picture shows some ways of bad sleeping techniques. As you can see here, the baby is with the mom, and the baby can easily roll off the bed. She could probably suffocate in the pillow. Right here, this is a picture where it shows the baby is dressed properly. This one, not so much. He has a hat on, blankets, and right here, there's somebody smoking next to the baby while they're sleeping. And another one down here where the baby and the mom are sleeping real close in the same bed. Alright, now we can talk about who benefits from workshops on SIDS or just information in general. One of the biggest questions when attending a workshop on SIDS is who benefits the most. Well, first I would say parents, new parents, or parents of older children who are having, new children, child care providers, people that have daycares in their homes. There's a lot of home daycares that have SIDS cases, even in business daycares. Foster parents, sometimes you get foster parents who haven't been a parent for a while and need to catch up on, the new techniques of safe sleeping. Public health nurses, hospital staff, those two, if they were to ever do a project or a workshop on SIDS, they would need to know the correct stuff to demonstrate to their people. Coroners also, because if they're doing autopsies for SIDS, they would need to know, and the general public as well. A lot of people benefit from it. And there's some other resources available for SIDS. There's the Back to Sleep campaign that I mentioned earlier. It's a big campaign that was started to prevent SIDS and educate parents and individuals on different things about SIDS. You can call this number. They also give you information on SIDS. And the National SIDS Infant Death Resource Center also is a good resource too. All right. I think that's it for today on our workshop. But thank you for your time and attention, and I hope you learned a lot about SIDS.